Hey everyone, welcome back to Tales of Recovery. This is Gris, your host, and I have a super special guest today, Tiffany Hurd. She is a microdosing advisor and business mentor, and I'm assuming a lot more other beautiful things. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course, yes. Thanks for having me. Really excited to be here and to be connected again in your presence. Yeah, it feels good.
Thank you. Tiffany and I met at a psychedelic panel out in Aquilas. I don't remember specifically. I know Jeff, my friend Jeff, organized it.
Love Jeff.
And there was a lot of really cool people there. And yeah, right away I was like, oh, you need to come to the podcast and tell us your story. And specifically, I mean, whatever you want to talk about, but really, I know that you advocate for microdosing. I know your experience with them and sort of the transformation and how they've helped you grow, be grounded, doing the work you're doing now. So yeah, I don't know if you want to just tell your story, and then I'll hop in and ask here and there.
Yeah, let's go. There's always a story. So my journey with psychedelics started about over 10 years ago, and it started with microdosing. And I was in a 16-year career in corporate healthcare, pharmaceuticals, medical device, a very different world and lifestyle than what I'm living now.
Yeah.
Sales, business development, strategy, managing teams, and I have a basketball background and a very adversity childhood upbringing, and so that unplanned sort of trajectory of my career just kind of happened, and it fit really well with the way that I lived my life. Very type A, team oriented, driven, had a number attached to things, so it was very like go 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 pace, and that was the pace that I basically established the way that I live my life, because that's what was kind of conditioned and formed at that time. Right. And you take my background of a lot of childhood trauma and adversity, and so having stability and structure was very safe in a lot of ways for me. And so long story short, as I climbed the corporate ladder and kept going and going, of course, more income and success came with that, but so did burnout, and so did anxiety and depression and all those symptoms. And, I didn't know about psychedelics at that time. It wasn't mainstream. Nothing was, you can research some things, but nothing to the degree of like it is today. And so I was doing therapy. I was in personal development. All those things were incredible and serving, at that time in my life in their own ways. And I ended up getting on medication. So I was on Lexapro and I was on Adderall for about 6 years, both of those. And that was to get through the day, if I'm being completely honest, to just like lower the anxiety levels, sleep at night. And so at some point, things started to wake up within me of, I need to take a deeper look at this. And, life things happened and triggered certain things, of course, naturally, that force you to pause and take a deeper look. And that happened many times. And so long story short, I started to hear about psychedelics and did a little bit of research, had access to psilocybin mushrooms, and, did enough research to feel the ping, to feel the call of this is something that I really want to explore. And so the intention and the goal for me was, hey, I'm going to work with this medicine to see if I can get off these medications and then see what happens. Let's just start with that.
Because the medications weren't really helping that much anymore, or?
What's interesting is they were, right? Okay. And they were with what I knew. They were with, my anxiety doesn't feel as present, but what I wasn't connected to was my emotions, right? Or I wasn't connected to like how to regulate my nervous system, or how to kind of like sit with things that were uncomfortable. It was more so like, let me just put a Band-Aid over this and leave it and carry on. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't the deepest truth and how I really wanted to live my life. And that's what was like kind of poking at me. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I'm working with psilocybin mushrooms. Things are coming up. I'm feeling good. And now I'm starting to really process things. And now I'm really starting to get to the deeper truths. And I'm tapering off. And all that to say, within 3 months, I was completely off both of those medications. Obviously, that's a process. 3 months is a pretty quick process for people, so I don't encourage that to be the listener's experience. Sometimes it just depends. And side effect free, didn't have any withdrawal symptoms. And at that time, I was like, holy shit, like I'm feeling the most like alive and present and in my body and at peace than I have ever felt at that time. And I was like, wow, there's something here. And I want to bring this to people, and created a microdosing business of teaching people how to work with the medicine, coaching them, mentoring them with all the things that I needed that weren't there just yet.
Did you do it by yourself, or did you tell the doctor,
myself.
hey, I'm going to wean off, I found mushrooms, or no?
I did that part on my own, and then, naturally brought in over like, hey, I just want to let you know, I want to start weaning off. What would you suggest? Right. So there was support with that. But it was pretty much independent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
So then how did your life change after that?
Well, my career started to change, and that was a big one. That was the big one that I needed to look at, because that was, we have we all have trauma. We all have things that affect us and impact us, but there's big things too that really need to change to free up that space in your life. And for me, it was the career, right? Every day I was like, holy shit, I got to go back and do this job, or I got to go do these things I don't want to do. And it was like, every time I had to make that decision to choose that, it was like gut wrenching feeling of, I just am not meant to be doing this.
Yeah.
And so I started to I stayed in the corporate career because I wasn't going to just pull that out. And I started to build my business on the side, and started to work with, 3 clients a month, and then it became 5, and then it kept going, and eventually went into that full time, left the corporate. And so, for me, that changed my complete life. This medicine supported me, and me having the resources and the tools and the confidence and all those sorts of things to make these better decisions for myself that were more truthful for setting up my life in a way that was going to be much more aligned. And that's just one area, right, is a career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the background that you had probably helped to stay organized in the new one, because I know I saw in there you got like Entrepreneur of the Year or something like that.
Yeah. That was I think 2-3 years ago. Yeah,
that's great.
At the conference.
I mean, I love it when I see
thank you
women doing the medicine and also the medicine work, the healing, but also super organized. I am more of like a creative mind. I'm like, somebody else organize it for me.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to be able to have both, because we need that, structure, that strong foundation, especially. So I guess you're able to bring in from your other career to this, all of that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, I would say, playing Division I basketball, that created a lot of structure, and then going into corporate, that created more structure. So yeah, there's absolutely, that whole background is so supportive for, building the business and supporting other companies and things like that today.
Yeah. Where's your other company like, no, you can't leave. What are you talking about? Was it hard to leave?
Yeah, it was hard for me to leave. I kicked and I screamed, and, I was sitting with higher doses of medicine before I made that decision, and specifically ayahuasca, and she was like, it's time to go. And I was like, it's not time to go. And then I sat again, and she's like, no, it's time to go. I was like, okay, fine. So it wasn't a quick decision. It took time. And of course, companies questioned it, and, so yeah, it was a tough decision, but it all worked out, and I don't regret any of it. And, it's...
Congratulations.
Thank you. It is. Thanks. Because, you look back at, for me, at least in corporate, and while I made it wrong at that time in my life, or judged it, or had resentment, looking back, it supported so much of my life and helped me build and grow and develop my business. Right. And then even beyond that, gave me the skills that I now bring in here in so many ways. And so it's such a blessing to have that experience.
Yeah, for sure. I know I left the corporate. I mean, I was art world, music world. Then I jumped into investigation at the Federal Public Defender's Office, like working in the prisons and in the courthouses. And I don't think 2 years into it, I was like, I can't do this forever, but okay. Stuck it through, had a lot of experience. And when I left, I think I left 8 years ago. Exactly. First, I built the business, and little by little, built this house, Airbnb it, so we could, figure it out. But the pushback, my parents, my brother, my mom, not so much, but my dad, the people at work, oh, you're not going to leave. You can't leave. This 401k and the pay and vacation. I'm like, and the insurance, the medical. I'm like, I'm going to need that medical insurance if I stay because I'm going to die of a disease because I hate it. Just like my body would just shut down when I would go to work. Yoga, meditation, all my practices in the morning, show up to work and be like, I'm falling asleep. I'm falling asleep. Like, what the hell? When you said earlier that you had like this gut wrenching feeling, how did you begin that to connect? Because I love when we listen to our body. How have you been able to? Because I'm guessing you've done a lot of other work than just,
taking psychedelics.
Exactly.
Yes. Just say it.
That's a great tool, but there's also other things we do.
Exactly.
So what else have you putting your journey to be able to connect more and more to the wisdom of the body?
Well, one, of course, psychedelics, they're a tool. They're an ally. You can open the door and you can go as deep as you want inside. And for me, working with these low doses with microdosing specifically helped me start to slow down. And when I started to slow down and listen to my body's wisdom, that's when I got clear on, okay, what's the next step? But even before that, what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? Right. This gut wrenching feeling, like I just got used to that feeling. And it's more so, no, there's something that your body's intelligence is trying to communicate to you, and it's requiring you to slow down and listen. And so that gave a lot of information of just pausing, not doing anything, right? My background was to go, do this. Yeah. And I just needed to slow down and listen and pray and just breathe. And that was step one for me. But that's evolved, and breath work is phenomenal in so many different ways. That's an ongoing practice. Movement for me is an ongoing practice, whether that be yoga, stretch work, actual like training and weight training, walking, running. That's so supportive for my body and my mind. Sauna, ice bath, love those. Journaling, pairing it with coaching or with therapy, just these practices, that you can do with or without medicine are so incredibly valuable and healing. And that's been, the start of it for me. And then that's also just my practices, just ongoing practices.
Yeah. Yeah. What, I want to ask a couple things more about the research and all that stuff on the microdosing. But first, I'm just curious, like, what does your family think about all this? Because, I have a lot of people, including myself, people that I work with that are like, you come back after this amazing experience with psychedelics, deep journey, and they're just looking at you like, oh no, now she's really gone off the deep end. Even though down the line, they see like how you move through life, and it's actually like, wow.
Right.
Something's going on here. Something different that's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think giving a little context will help, because I have an adoptive family as well. And of course, my biological mom, I never met my father, in and out of prison, drugs, passed away, never met him. And so moved in with this new family, was with relatives beforehand because my mother was in and out of jail quite often. And so I had two family perspectives, all that to say. And I have always kind of been like different in my family. And I would say with that is, I am gay. And so that was something that I brought in at some point with them. And so that was something that we navigated. So to bring in psychedelics and leaving a business, like that was almost a bigger deal than this in some ways for them, but in full acceptance of it. Right. So, but I share that because nothing was going to surprise them. Right. And, they knew, nothing was going to surprise them with what I was bringing in, which is hilarious. Yeah. And I love them for that. And, I would say, my biological mom, she was a little concerned for sure, and just couldn't fully understand, the process of it. Now everything's great and fine. my adoptive family, you know, they knew how miserable I was in corporate. And of course, you know, I just saw my stepmom last weekend and she's like, do you have insurance yet? Like, that's all she cares about. It's just, I don't care what the hell you do with your life so long as you're happy and fulfilled and you have insurance.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, rest assured, we're good. So, you know, luckily and gratefully, there's been a lot of love and acceptance. And so long as I'm happy, they've got my back and they're, you know, they're riding it with me. And,
Nice.
but of course there's concerns, you know, there's stability, and then you go into entrepreneurship, but not just entrepreneurship. It's, oh, you're working for, you're doing work in a legal landscape.
Right.
So there's all these things that find their way in, and you know, you just got to sort through them and stay grounded through it all.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's so unfortunate that it's not legal yet, but that's really cool that you have access to a family that's supportive, that has seen you and that's seen the transformation, and they're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also the thing that my parents would say, what about the insurance? I'm like,
I know.
We'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. I don't even go to I pay cash for the naturopath.
I know.
You know, but
I know.
yeah, you need it in case you break a leg or something.
I know. I'm like, I'm literally paying for this. This is like a whole other podcast. I was like, I'm paying for this for that one time, one thing.
The one thing. But
or you get stung by a bee or something stupid, and then you know.
And then you have to go to the clinic, and they give you the shot.
Those little things matter too.
They do, and I guess it's just part of like this matrix system that we're in, and how we've been conditioned and what's available. You know, I mean, if I could pay insurance for the naturopath or functional medicine, I would definitely do that instead than the regular doctors. But yeah, that's a whole other podcast because I can go down that rabbit lane. Part two. Sorry, medical. No, I work with a lot of doctors that, you know, come here for one-on-ones because they don't want to go to the group ones because they don't know what's up, blah, blah, blah. Yet. I think as time goes by, they start to not care. But the frustration about the system that they're working in, you know, so many years of school, so many years of education for just this high stress level that isn't really, you know, isn't that caring. So yeah, that's hopefully, not hopefully, I know like people like you and some of the, you know, this movement that's happening is going to lean towards a different space. So
we're already seeing it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see, you know, physicians, doctors, what have you, practicing where that's how they were trained for so many years. And now there's, you know, we're seeing so much of an open mind of holistic healing in a lot of ways, while still honoring, you know, the practice of everything that they've learned, but also, you know, seeing that there's this whole other world that we're awakening to that's available for patient care, essentially, at the end of the day.
Right. For sure. Including theirs, because they're over there stressed out, losing their mind. So were you at the psychedelic conference just recently?
In Denver?
Yeah.
I was.
You did? How was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was there for about 3 days. A company that I'm advising for, we had a booth at some of the after party events, which was a great time. And, you know, those conferences, especially that one, there's always so much going on.
So vibrant. Yeah.
But, you know, it's so vibrant. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe there exists a psychedelic conference.
I know.
I mean, I can believe it. I just never would have thought, you know.
Did you go?
No.
You didn't
go?
go?
I was at sound training in upstate New York with Alexander Tanu. Do you know who that guy is? Alexander Tanu?
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah. Okay. He's this little, I think it's called Renaissance. I forgot the name of it. Has a nonprofit with Dennis McKenna.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he's an incredible sound facilitator, supplements facilitator with sound. Yeah.
Amazing.
But maybe I'll go next year.
Don't go the whole week.
It's too much.
Yeah. Wednesday to Friday. Wednesday late afternoon, Friday afternoon.
Friday, let's
Perfect.
go. Okay.
Maybe,
yeah. Did you presented, you said, or you had the
we had a booth, not at the actual conference, but a couple after parties.
Oh, nice.
Which was nice.
The fun part.
Which was fun.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So what would you like? I'm interested in asking you. For example, I was listening to Paul Stamets yesterday in a podcast, but I work with a lot of women and I've been microdosing for a long time. And of course, I don't know most of the protocols in the database or whatever research are men's protocols. What is your, because I always tell people, listen, what is your body telling you? Do you want one every day? Do you want one in the morning, one at night? Do you want to do it every other day? With a practice, of course, you know, meditate, breathe, whatever. What is your take on that?
You know, I think if somebody's new, like brand new, I think following a protocol or regimen is definitely always suggested, because with microdosing, it's going to be more so the benefits coming in through like a consistent practice over a longer period of time at a slower pace and a lower dose, you know, compared to a higher dose in-person ceremony, one-time experience. So I always do suggest that for people that are new. Now, when it comes to like selecting which protocol, of course, the Paul Stamets is great. James Fadiman is another one. Those two have the main research. There's other protocols where you can do like 4 days on, or you can do, you know, every other day, or, you know, 5 days on, 2 days off. You know, a lot of people are just creating protocols at this point. So I think all that to say, yes, tune into like your intentions, your body, your lifestyle, your schedule, like, you know, the days that you really want to microdose. You can fully microdose any day. You can microdose when you're working. You can drive a car. Like all those sorts of things are very normal and should feel really good. It should enhance how you're feeling and how you're experiencing throughout the day, versus feeling like, oh, I can't microdose today because I'm working or I have this. So just being mindful of that, especially if you're new. But yeah, I would say once you start to kind of get an idea of the practice, and then maybe you work with different medicines or different protocols, at that point, I feel like it starts to open up this beautiful opportunity to just intuitively microdose. And now, you know, for example, I've been microdosing, like I said, over 10 years now, on and off different medicines, different practices, different dosing. So now I have a pretty clear understanding of if I'm going to microdose today, what medicine feels good, because I understand the response and I understand the dose. And even beyond that, I have a better understanding of what it specifically supports with.
Right.
So that would be my encouragement for sure. In terms of like men and women and protocols, I think where that can start to differentiate itself is the integration and the practices within the experience of microdosing. You know, some more masculine practices like stoic breathing, or, you know, really grounded practices like that will pair well with certain protocols. Women maybe more like embodiment, more, you know, there's things you can bring in to gently kind of separate. But at the end of the day, structure is more masculine, and the protocols are structured.
I mean, I think structure helps with starting a process, right? So, I mean, I got sober when I was 25, and I went to meetings every day for about 6 years straight. Maybe missed a Sunday here and there. But that structure for me was even the first, 9 months, you know, just like every day. And then after a while, I did my own thing. But also, when you're weaning off of antidepressants, you need structure.
100%.
Right. So, because you just said 10 years now, you're on this other side where you're like intuitively knowing, more connected to the allies, to the medicines, whatever you're using. So, thank you for saying that. That is important. I tend to be kind of a wild card over here, but I did have a lot of structure getting sober and in the beginning of all this somatic work that I'm doing. So,
amazing.
So yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that too.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's been a ride. Which I love that you're here, because it's important. We're having a big ceremony coming up here on August 9th. So I've been on the phone, you know, talking to people on calls, and I'm on this medicine. I'm like, no, you can't. I mean, but you know, which is like, and I tell them, Tiffany's coming tomorrow to the podcast, and you need to listen because it's possible. Not that you can't do. I mean, what is your take on that? Doing a deep psilocybin mushroom journey while on antidepressants.
You know, what we see is of course, like, some are going to be contraindications, right? Very, very rare. And there's a lot of controversy of, you know, more being contraindicated and not. And I've worked with many people where they were on medication. I would say it definitely can offset like the tolerance level,
Right.
where you might just need more medicine, which is not a bad thing, just depends.
Yeah.
But what I love is utilizing microdosing ahead of time, a month or two before a ceremonial experience, and potentially starting to taper back on some of those, or even beginning microdosing even earlier and starting to taper back if that's a desire to taper off.
Right.
That model is really phenomenal for tapering off the medication prior to ceremony. And then you sit in ceremony and usually you're pretty much complete with the medication at that point.
Yeah.
So I do think it's okay to sit so long as like you understand the history and, the individual's feeling good and feeling grounded, and, they have microdosed and they're responding well to the medicine at a low dose. Usually it's pretty fine.
To the medicine at a low dose, you mean the mushrooms or the or the pharmaceuticals?
The mushrooms.
The mushrooms.
Yeah, like mixing them together essentially.
Oh, right.
Like on the same day, because most people are taking medication daily.
Mm-hmm.
And then, if what I recommend for anybody who is on medication that is wanting to microdose is you can microdose on the same day. That's totally fine. Just take them apart. Take them, 2 hours apart. And then, there's a process that you can slowly start to taper back if that's something that you wanted to explore as well.
Right. Is it something that you teach in your, because I know you've, I don't know if you partner with Third Wave or the I forgot the name of the
Golden Roll mushrooms.
Golden Roll
Mm-hmm.
mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
But is there like protocols there or
Mm-hmm.
that people can go to get education, or maybe even a program on, okay,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to start a tapering or whatever? Because I don't really think the doctors are all about it. Some of them are, but
yeah, it's
a lot of resistance.
Sensitive. Yeah, it's a sensitive, and rightfully so. I mean, you're altering brain chemistry, and you're not a doctor, and there's a lot of controversy, of course. And so safety is always like the most important piece with all of it. If something's feeling funky as you're starting to begin this process, then pause, adjust. So, so I advise for a company called Golden Roll Mushrooms. And so I'm their microdosing advisor and all things education and supporting with our partnerships. And one of our partners is Third Wave, which is great. And so, it's ironic because I host monthly workshops for them where it's community workshops and teaching about topics. And then I host a Q&A and make sure the community gets all their questions answered and everything to teach people how to work with the product. So it's a product-based company with psilocybin mushrooms and LSD. And then teaching people how to work with those medicines.
Right.
And so what I'm teaching actually in August, next month, if this is out, is a workshop on a protocol to taper off the medication, or at least providing education of a place that you're resourced if you wanted to explore that. Now, a model that I've supported people with, I've done this on my own. Again, it's very individualized, like obviously disclaimer with all of that, but I have seen this work phenomenally for a lot of people, is a 3-month protocol, essentially, where you're microdosing. You start microdosing, whether it's with psilocybin or LSD. That also kind of depends on like the medication and things that you're on, where you start microdosing for 2 weeks every other day. Take that 2 hours apart from the medication. See how you're feeling. Of course, if that's feeling good, within 2 weeks, pull back 5 milligrams. Okay.
Of the pharmaceutical.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. Keep microdosing for another 2 weeks. How's that feeling? Keep maybe 3 weeks, and then you slowly pull out again. And then month 2, usually we sit with a little bit of a higher dose. A higher dose for some people could be 1.5 grams. It could be 3. Like it really just depends.
Per day?
No, once. Once or twice. Yeah, not per day.
I want to do that. No.
Yeah, no, literally. I'm like, well, actually,
I could not.
maybe.
I would die.
No. So then you do that. And then on the back end with integration, again, you're continuing to microdose. And if, you need to continue to pull back 5 milligrams, then you do. But it's basically pulling back 5 at a time or pulling back 3 at a time, depending on what you're navigating. And it's slow and it's gradual. There's no rush, and you're checking in and you're bringing in the practices and the meditation and the grounding. And, that seems to work really, really well for people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. When is that going to be at?
So that workshop is mid-August. Mm-hmm.
Mid-August. I'll put the, when I post this.
I think the second week of August. Yeah.
We'll put the notes up here and the date for that. Yeah, that's brilliant because, I'm just, you're saying that and I'm like, yes. What happens when you do this? You feel more alive, right? Because, though for pharmaceuticals, the antidepressants might be good for a while, kind of help you figure out that, okay, now I'm surviving, but there's something inside of me that wants more.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just hearing you say that, and all I'm thinking is, people are feeling more alive. People are waking up. People are opening up to, I would rather not be in this hustle corporate world, but here's my dream, and this is something that makes me feel more vibrant, alive. Maybe I'm not making as much money yet, right? You never know. But it's possible. So I love that you're saying that, because I like to state on here that possibilities are available.
Yeah.
Right? This is something that can happen.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. I love that you touched on that. And especially when it comes to pharmaceuticals and something that you're so used to taking daily and it's comfortable and it has supported you in a lot of ways, there is a lot of fear of changing that and what will come up, or what, who that woman or man might become when you start to shift that process. And it does full circle to having this, vision or this desire of the possibility of what could be possible if I do explore something different. And, a lot of why I want to do that workshop is to just share the education and the knowledge and the opportunity. If you wanted to explore something like this, you could do so in a safe way that's effective, and there's guidance.
Right.
And half of that is what people want and what people need and what they're looking for.
Yeah. And to be open to feeling, right? Because I think the antidepressants may keep you stable, but you're not really feeling. You're not getting to the root of the cause. And the mushrooms are like enhancers, LSD. They're going to make you feel. So, but we're supposed to feel. Right? I don't think anyone ever dies of feeling. That's what I always say. You didn't die. You felt it all. But it's like a tool that. Yeah. How did you navigate through that?
Through death, ego deaths. Yeah, there are those deaths.
Yeah.
Yes, there's many of those deaths. It comes in different waves and chapters, and some was just like gut wrenching, falling on your knees, processing some deep, deep, deep grief, and support, making sure I'm supported, right? Sometimes when we get into like that deep process of things at times that are really, really challenging, it can feel isolating and it can feel very lonely and confusing. And so for me, it was like having the support around me was always really helpful, and taking the time, praying and knowing it's going to pass. And always just trying to keep my head in like a positive space in any time that I can, getting out of the house, walking, movement, taking care of my body, sleeping, water, nutrition, all those little tiny decisions add up to big things in your life that are really valuable.
Yeah, to support you.
To support it on. It might not feel like it's working at the time, but 3 days later, a week later, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, all right, here we go.
I did it.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So it's a process and a journey, and being mindful of the conversations that you're having with yourself of if you're making yourself wrong, or you're creating more shame, or you're judging where you're at, or it's not moving fast enough, or you're not, here when you want to be here. And it's like, just trust the process.
Yeah.
There's so much potent, like aliveness and truth and opportunity to learn about yourself when you're in deeper processes like that.
Yeah.
And I used to make myself wrong for that, of like, I'm not, why am I here again? Or why is this showing again? And if I just took the time to go into that, how much comes from it that I then learn about myself and how I can show up and be in relationship with people is, it's almost like you kind of start to like it.
Yeah. Getting curious about it
like,
instead of judging it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Thank you for saying that, because I think one of the biggest problems is making ourselves wrong for this, for that. I always say there's nothing wrong. There's nothing to fix.
It's just a mirror.
Just going in. Compassion. Check it out. What is this what is this showing me? Where is this taking me?
It's all a mirror of what, something. It's like the saying, like, what you resist persists, right? It's like the thing that continues to affect you and trigger you and poke at you is usually revealing something within your body's intelligence that you just haven't really resolved. There's a reason it's still affecting you.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It has to. Who talks about the resolving emotions? Peter Levine, or one of the.
I think it's Peter Levine.
I think it's Mr. Peter. Peter Badass Levine. Yeah. What's your worst ego death, or how did that?
My worst ego death. Oof. What is my worst ego death? I would say probably, heartbreak, relationships, deep, deep love. That has always, I'd say like a couple of them, it comes in different times. That's always been a really deep process for me.
Yeah.
Even just sometimes like these micro things that happen too, right? It's not always like a big thing, but these micro things of doing something that's really uncomfortable that I've done, over and over, but still feeling like the anxiety around it in a lot of ways, whether it's, I feel really good and grounded here because this space is incredible. So grounding here.
Shout out to Gloria Muriel, who
No,
painted it all, and
the music,
Julio,
the
who built it.
instruments. Yeah, so good. So great. Luckily, I don't feel any anxiety here. But, if I'm speaking or I'm doing something and I just feel this like out of body experience, and it's all coming back to the ego. It's all coming back to what people are going to think of me, or the judgment, or if I'm not intelligent or articulate enough. And it's like, it's all bullshit. Just show up as yourself and that's it. Like, that's all you have to do. So that's a constant ego death just throughout life that happens. But yeah.
That's a good one. I mean, I was already thinking like, the ayahuasca thing I did, I almost died. But
oh my God, that too.
Yeah, that too. But that's even more real, like heartbreak is just, I mean, I have young kids that are in, these relationships, and I see them and I'm like, I've been in a relationship for 30 years now. So, I mean, there's still some heartbreak, and let me tell you about ego deaths in there. But yeah, heartbreak is such a real one. And thank you for sharing that. I don't know. I guess it's just a part of the design. Getting your ass kicked and realizing that, but then your heart kind of cracks open to more, hopefully,
Yeah, if you do the work, right? You take the time, you do the work. It's like when you're in it, it's like, I'll never be able to love like this again. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh my God, there's like so much more within me to go deeper, and the capacity is widened. And because you come home to loving yourself more, essentially. And then that becomes more available to share that and to love more deeply in so many ways, whether it's in a partnership or a friendship or a conversation, anything.
Yeah. It's kind of like this thing that emanates out of you when you really are in love with yourself. And, I would say, if you're listening or watching this, that it's not like, all of a sudden it's clicked and it's like that forever. It comes and goes. It's a constant practice. It's a constant coming back to, which is why I love the microdosing, because for me, it's like this reminder, I'm connecting with this mushroom. Thank you. Breathing is more of an intentional direction of, it's a felt sense thing, but it's also like the brain is guiding everything. To a degree, the body too, but they can't really separate them. That's what Gabor says. You can't really separate them. I'm now figuring that out. Like, for a long time, I was just like mindfulness, and then I realized I was kind of bypassing the body. Then somatics. Don't think. But now it's like, well, they kind of both meet at the heart. We can do both. Like you said earlier. And how often do we do this? Like, check your thoughts. How did you learn to do that? Like, were you practicing mindfulness, doing therapy? I don't know.
Coaching, therapy, personal development. I was in all of it. I was in it all. I was like, when I decide, I'm doing it all. And that was a breakthrough in itself of like, you don't have to do it all. You can just slow down.
Right.
But along that path, I learned a lot. And, there's so much of the science too, if we think of like psychedelics, when you're talking about the mind and the brain, that I think really paint a story and also help you bring more awareness essentially to your body so that they can come into cohesiveness and into alignment. Because if you think of like, if we're stuck in this like pattern or this repetitive thought loop cycle, and we're constantly just, analyzing and repeating, we're very in the head to the point where we might not really be connected to our body because we're in this process. And when we start to work with these medicines, it rewires the brain in many ways. Your brain starts to communicate, the pathways are clearing and being more established. there's something, not to get too deep with it, but there's something called neuroplasticity that we all have that.
Oh, we can get deep.
Okay. Well, I'm now a scientist.
What is
Yeah.
neuroplasticity?
Yeah. What is So, it's when our brains are more plastic and more malleable, which means we're more adaptive to making changes in our lives. We're more open. And so if I bring back that thought loop analogy, we're stuck in that. We don't really we may feel the desire to do something differently, but we might not actually feel safe or open to more deeply explore that. There might be resistance compared to what that's connected to. So all of a sudden, we start to feel more open. And then that thought has these other pathways to go down. And now I have this whole new way of viewing the situation. I have this whole new, perspective and perception of this thing that has, really impacted me and affected me.
Right.
That, now there's this other way of viewing it. And that opens up so much for people. Yeah. And I think with that piece, it allows you to soften and relax and get out of your head and drop into the body in a lot of ways, especially when you're pairing it with body-based practices. Right? Yeah. Yoga, meditation, movement, stillness, parts work, whatever it is. Right. So yeah, I really love that you shared that piece of connecting them, because I think that cohesiveness is really important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think it's like the speed, right? The velocity of the thoughts, and then the body can't catch up, or the body's affected by the velocity of your speeds, and so it starts to shake, and you start to have anxiety, and you're like, well, there's nothing going on here. Why am I feeling like this? I'm all by myself in my house where I'm safe. Mm-hmm. So slowing down that velocity, I think, it's just like, it's the key, you know, and it's a process, right? Like you said, I was in everything, self-development. I mean, I used to take every single course, all the therapies, trainings. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm just going to sit out and look at the stars, because. Yes. I mean, maybe one training a year. I mean, I still have teachers, of course, but it's not as.
You're integrating it all.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. And it is a beautiful journey of, there's like chapters of life where you're in this, like, I mean, we're always growing and evolving, of course, and it just looks different. And at that time it was like, very deep in all of that. And now it's almost like, how can I take everything that I've learned and just pause for a moment and just be with it, integrate it, apply it, versus feeling like I got to go to the next thing right away. Yeah. And you're going to know if there is a next thing, there always is something, and you're going to know what that is. Yeah.
And I think though, I don't think I know that the mushrooms have helped in being able to slow down and be like, okay, even sometimes therapy, like, okay, I need a break from therapy and just play and have fun. I don't want to go deeper into the trauma anymore, because there's always more, but there's also a time to play. So, do you consider, I guess, what's your take on also using microdosing for fun? We're talking about healing, weaning off of pharmaceuticals, but maybe someone's here listening that are like, well, I don't have any problems with pharmaceuticals.
What about me? Yeah, there's a place for you too. Yeah. There's a place for everybody. And I love the play aspect. Yeah, it's so important. I think there's a lot of misconception on like recreationally working with psychedelics, or putting on music and being with your friends and dancing, and just not always having to do the deep work or the therapy or the healing or weaning off the pharmaceuticals. There's a place for it all, and that's what I think is really beautiful with these medicines, is it's really how you choose to utilize them in whatever ways that you desire. And so I think some of the most healing can come from play and just connection and lightness and flow. And I think it's just always, again, coming back to, what do I need? What do I want to experience? How do I want to feel? Who are the people I want to be around? What's the experience that we want to create? And do it. Yeah. And do it. I think whether it's, microdosing with LSD, microdosing with San Pedro, microdosing with psilocybin, they provide slightly different experiences, and they could be used for any of those. Deeper healing, lightness play. So I highly encourage that, so long as it's safe and it's enjoyable, and of course. Yeah.
And that you remember that you deserve this, and you're not like thinking this. Do you want to talk a little bit about, I'm curious to know, what's microdosing with LSD or microdosing with San Pedro? I mean, I have microdose peyote quite often, but I know San Pedro's a little bit different. Yeah, what do you?
So, when we think of psilocybin, it's more like body-based, somatic in a lot of ways, more emotional processing. Obviously, it's amazing for like creativity and productivity and all those sorts of things. But it seems to be, in comparison to maybe San Pedro or LSD, more in the body in some ways. Now, if we look at LSD, that's more cerebral. It's more like analytical, more dopamine focused. And it's not to say you're not going to be in the body. It's very open and light, but it's more so through the lens of getting out of like the chatter and kind of honing in. So it's really good for like ADHD symptoms, anxiety, like to just kind of slow things down, but still be very creative and productive and inspired. It's like this really just opening experience, and it's gentle. Depending on the dose, of course.
Right. But if you microdose, you're not really supposed to feel
exactly
that you're high, right? It's just like a slow tapering effect. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. You should feel good and open and grounded and a little increase in energy, but not stimulating or, if you start to feel overstimulated or anxious with any of them, usually the dose is a little high and you want to pull it back. And then if we look at San Pedro, so San Pedro is coming out, especially as it relates to microdosing. Yeah. And I'm really excited about it. It's amazing for inflammation out of, all three of those medicines. It's the highest with lowering inflammation, which is amazing for like nervous system regulation, because if our inflammation is higher, usually our cortisol levels are higher, and usually that's pretty much directly connected to stress, anxiety. So it really lowers that, and you really just feel very grounded, very in your heart. It's amazing for ADHD as well. It's amazing for lowering anxiety levels, like I shared. Now, if we look at like the average dose of what a microdose would be for the three different of these medicines, San Pedro, usually 500 milligrams to 1,000, which sounds high when we compare it to like, psilocybin. So don't be discouraged, because it's still like a very grounding dose. Yeah. LSD.
Because a macro dose of San Pedro is like 30, 40 grams. At least that's what it is for peyote. So 500, just to give it a little perspective. Yeah.
And then LSD, usually 5 micrograms to 30. And then I would say, psilocybin, some people will go as low as like 50 milligrams, depending on the sensitivity levels, up to, 350, 450 milligrams. Yeah. So those are pretty much the ranges. And again, it's very individualized. What worked for your friend, you might not feel the same. In fact, you probably won't feel the same. It's probably going to look really different for you.
Yeah. It's also different, like in the body, in the rhythms of the, especially for women or for me, to like, okay, 1 week of the month, I'm great and I can take, the microdoses. And then and the next week I take a microdose, I'm driving, I have to pull over and lay on the floor because I go with, 25 milligrams, just, I don't know. So it's, also I'm very sensitive to the medicine. I shouldn't say this, but yeah, it's a very personal thing. And it's a rhythm thing. Which is, I think, the cool part of being humans, walking alongside with plants, is that they, one day it's going to be hot, one day it's going to be cold. It's not like, no, this is the specific medicine, pharmaceutical, no matter if you like it or not, and there's all these side effects. So there's that play in it that I think is really cool, right? It's not going to be always like this other Western whatever medicine world. It's open, it's creative, and it's intuitive. So thank you for sharing all of that. I love all that information.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
Great.
Good.
I haven't really tried microdosing with LSD, but now I'm like,
yes.
I think I might.
The company that I was talking about, Golden Rule Mushrooms, the best LSD I've ever had in my life, and it's amazing. Okay. The Soul Gummies, so they're 10 micrograms, and I'm microdosing right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with those, and feel very grounded, very light, very open, very present.
That's great.
Drove my car here, feeling normal.
Yeah.
So it's good. So, yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm going to look into that.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't done LSD since I was 24.
You're like, I can feel. You're like, I'm going. I'm gonna go somewhere with this.
I love that. Honestly, let me tell you. I think that's how I got sober.
Oh wow.
We were partying. I was in the music business and just theater and just partying, drinking. And I was like, I got to stop this. Couldn't stop. Got to stop this. Couldn't stop. And I think about 6 months before I decided to just go into a meeting. I mean, I never went into a rehab or I was just LSD. I did a couple of peyote rides. And then one day I just said, I'm done. So 100% I attribute it to that psychedelic and to peyote, that I was just able to go from one day to the next.
Wow.
You know.
Wow.
I mean, it was hard, but I was able to make the decision, right? And just show up to that structure that you mentioned. I'm like, what do I have to do? Come every day? Okay.
Yeah.
Share? Okay, I'll share. You know, and call the sponsor, whatever. I don't even remember. But yeah, I did whatever they said, so that structure was helpful. And thank you to LSD and peyote. I 100% know. God, that's so good. I'm so glad these things are coming back and that are available to help. Yeah. And that people like you and others are just sharing the normalcy of it, right? It's just, so what would you have to say to someone, or even just in general, about why these things have become illegal and why we need to check into our judgment of it and fear, where, well, no one's really judging getting drunk, driving drunk. That's okay, you know, to this kind of debate.
Yes. You know, we think of the war on drugs and, you know, these drugs being classified, you know, substance one, classified drugs. Yeah. And when we think of that time, what also was driving, you know, so much income forward was cigarettes, drinking, cocaine, actual drugs. That, you know, pharmaceutical companies, government have their hands all over that, and it's making the most income in our society. And so, you know, that's on the rise, and looking at psychedelics as wrong and harmful and hippie and dangerous and unsafe, all those sorts of things, that it created this like paradigm in our society of conditioning that this is wrong and this is scary and it's trippy and all those sorts of things. And so, you know, now when we look at where we are today, we're here because, one, of like citizen science, of like people sharing their experiences, but even beyond that, the incredible institutions that are providing clinical trials and data and research. I mean, we're talking about Harvard, we're talking about Stanford, like these very, very credible institutions, driving the research forward from a therapeutic component on why these medicines are so healing for symptoms of depression, anxiety, PTSD, addiction. We can go on and on and on. Yep. OCD, I mean, you name it. And that right there is painting this whole new story for us to really, really see it differently. So I think that that's one piece of, if you look at, you know, our society and the education that people like you and I are doing amongst so many people that we know in this space, that's so helpful. And then people sharing their experiences. But then when you also pair that and back it with the science, and you back it with the story of valid proof, this isn't just bullshit, this isn't just placebo. Right. I think it starts to allow us to view it a little bit more open-minded and a little bit more differently. And there's still such a long way to go. And then, of course, with it not being legal, and that creates a lot of fear, even when you think of like a product, right? And a product arriving at someone's home, and the fear that comes with something like that coming to my doorstep in a state that's not decriminalized, as an example. It could create a lot of fear, understandably. And, you know, it's incredible to see where we are today and how far we've come, and how safe and effective and healing and powerful and life-changing these medicines are when done in the right context. And, you know, people like you guiding and teaching and facilitating, it's just, you know, it's deep, beautiful, powerful work. Yeah. And we're part of the movement. It's our generation. Yes. You know, sometimes I have these moments where I pause, because we can get so caught up in like, it's so normalized to us because we like live and breathe this life. Yeah. And then, you know, in the Golden Rule community, so much of our community are people that are new. And so I'm constantly coming back to educating from that foundational place. And I'm always coming back to just like so much gratitude, because I'm like, holy shit, like, we are the generation that is driving this forward. Like our ancestors, our lineage, like everybody paved the path for us to be where we are here today. And we're taking that torch and we're driving it forward. And it's a fucking risk.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah. I'm getting goosebumps.
I love it. Like
Yeah.
I left this, you know, a 6-figure cozy corporate career to go into an illegal. Like
Yeah.
it's just like, I love it. You can't make this shit up, you know, and it's beautiful and it's amazing. And all the people that we work with, all the people that you serve, all the people that we educate, and all the people that are listening, it's, you know, it's such a privilege and it's such an honor to even have this conversation and to sit here having this right now.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here. Yeah. And it's, you know, I'm listening you say that. And I remember, for example, in Mexico, peyote is not illegal if you're an indigenous, you know, or mushrooms, you know, if you're from Oaxaca. Same as in the United States. It's a little bit different, right? There's more of a First Amendment right there. But so if you're listening to this, besides the great statement that you just made, to wonder, you know, like how come they can keep that, and everyone's turning now to ancestral indigenous wisdom because it's so much more simple. Yeah. Wake up with the sun, go to sleep with the sun, stay connected to the earth, nurture yourself, laugh around the fire, you know, simple. And over here in this complicated concrete jungle life where, you know, you might even, all of this other stuff that you just mentioned. So just to, you know, close out with that, to see, what kind of life do I want? Because this excitement that you're just mentioning, it's like, yeah, that's what it's bringing us back to. Connection, simplicity. So thank you. Congratulations. Thank you so much for coming here and for doing this work, because it's like we're on this brisk of consciousness. Sometimes I get overwhelmed and then I'm just like, that's it. Take a break 2-3 days and then get back into it, because we're doing this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And, you know, I always feel like anybody who's listening, you're here for a reason. Yeah. You're on this podcast. You're in our presence. We're in your presence for a reason, and listen to that, whatever that means for you. Yeah. So thank you for having me. It's a beautiful conversation, beautiful work, and shout out to the beautiful studio.
Yeah, it's nice, huh? Thank you. Shout out to Julia, to Gloria, to me for organizing it.
Shout out to you. Come on now, Queen. Let's go.
Thank you. I hope you can come back soon.
Yeah.
And I'll post all of your information and the links, and we'll for sure try to have this out before August so that people can go to that training, including me. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Tales of Recovery. Please share this content if you think it's important, because it is. That's it. Thank you and we'll see you soon.